All right, y'all. Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to another Talking and Grubbing Live. How's it? My bad. That was my YouTube playback. But once again, hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to a brand new Talking and Grubbing live stream. How's everybody doing on this Wednesday? I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing good. Glad to see y'all here tonight. This is my Championship Sunday preview. I break down the matchups for the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game coming up Sunday. I'll be live for those starting at 2 o'clock. And I'm going to give my prediction on which teams are going to meet in Santa Clara for Super Bowl 60. Right, I see some folks in the chat. Flora, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. My dude Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. What's up, man? You say happy Wednesday. Hello, everyone. Y'all check out his channel. Flora. Wow, you got the Patriots in a blowout, 41-13. You got the Rams in a close one, 23-19. Flora, what does that mean? Can you translate that for me, please? Matter of fact, let me see what that means. Okay, you saying good night. Good night to you too. Good night to you too also. You have a good night also. Yep, good evening to you too. I'm doing good. How you doing? Where are you from? And also, who's your team? Yes, I definitely have been waiting to do this live. I was supposed to do this live last night, but had some things going on. But I decided to come back. But I decided I was going to finally do this live tonight. And also, I will be releasing separate videos on YouTube, so you can check that out. All right, so without further ado, I'm about to get into the Championship Sunday preview. And I'm starting with the AFC Championship game between the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. Now, the Patriots, they're coming off of a very dominant win over the Houston Texans in the divisional round. Shout out to Mike Vrabel. He's done a tremendous job in his first year as head coach. After the Patriots were 4-13 last year, they finished the regular season 14-3, won the AFC East. They won the wild card round against the Chargers, dominated the Texans. Now they're back here in the AFC Championship game, and Vrabel is definitely one of the favorites for Coach of the Year. He should be. Drake May, he's definitely improved this season. Matter of fact, he's one of the top 2 candidates for MVP. He finished the regular season with 354 completions on 492 attempts, over 4,300 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions with a 77.1 QBR rating. Also, we had a pretty solid game against the Texans in the divisional round. He finished with 16 completions on 27 attempts, 179 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Also, he definitely has some weapons on his team, such as the veteran Stephon Diggs, who's no stranger to the AFC East, as he played with the Bills for a couple of seasons. During the regular season, he had 85 receptions on 102 targets, over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had a nice game in the divisional round versus the Texans with 4 receptions on 6 targets, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Also, they have another receiver that's kind of slept on, in my opinion, in Keyshawn Botte. He finished the regular season with 33 receptions on 46 targets, 551 yards, 6 touchdowns. In the divisional round against the Texans, he had 3 receptions on 5 targets, 75 yards, and a touchdown. But the most underrated thing about the Patriots is their running game. They have veteran running back Ramondre Stevenson, along with the rookie Travion Henderson, fellow Buckeye. And these two are underrated two-headed monster. During the regular season, they finished with 310 carries combined, over 1,500 rushing yards combined, with 16 rushing touchdowns combined. Now, Stevenson, he finished with 382 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. In the divisional round, Stevenson was a beast. He had 123 rushing yards despite not having any rushing touchdowns. Henderson, he finished with 52 rushing yards. And also, this Patriots defense is very dominant. They finished top 10 in almost every defensive category. They finished 8th in total defense, giving up only 295.2 yards per game. 9th in pass defense, giving up 193.5 passing yards per game. They were 6th in rush defense, giving up 101.7 rushing yards per game. They were 4th in points allowed, only giving up 18.8 points per game. They were 24th in sacks, only having 35 sacks, which averaged out to 2.0 sacks per game. They were 21st in takeaways, which they only got 19 takeaways. And they were very dominant against the against the Texans in the divisional round last week, as they forced 4 fumbles and an interception. So, man, this Patriots defense is a straight up beast. Well, hold on. Let me make sure I was correct on the turnovers that they created. Yep. Well, no, my bad. They forced 4 interceptions and 1 fumble in the divisional round versus the Texans. My bad. But man, they definitely have a great defense anchored by the Pro Bowlers, Christian Gonzalez and Marcus Jones. Man, that secondary is no joke. Also, they have Carlton Davis in the backfield, who doesn't get his just due as a corner, which he should. He definitely should get more props as a corner. Also, they have a pretty nice front with Harold Landry, Milton Williams, Christian Ellis. So this Patriots defense is definitely not to be played with, because they can definitely make any opposing offense's life miserable. Now, I'm about to move on to the Denver Broncos. They've had a great season under Sean Payton. They finished number 1 in the AFC. Now, the Broncos, they received some devastating news after the victory over the Bills in overtime last week in the divisional round. Starting quarterback Bo Nix fractured a bone in his ankle, so he's done for the rest of the playoffs. So now they're turning to former Patriots quarterback Jarrett Stidham to excuse me, to lead them to the Super Bowl. For his career, he has 117 completions on 197 attempts with over 1,400 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a 78.3 QBR rating. But this Broncos team does have some pretty nice weapons, such as the Pro Bowler Cortland Sutton. During the regular season, he finished with 74 receptions on 124 targets, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. In the divisional round against the Bills, he finished with 4 receptions, 9 targets, 53 yards, but 0 touchdowns. And also, this guy is underrated. R.J. Harvey, the rookie running back, during the regular season, he finished with 146 carries, 540 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns. Also, he had 356 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. And also, this Broncos team has a very great defense, as they finished top 10 in almost every defensive category during the regular season. They were second in total defense, giving up 278.2 yards per game. They were 7th against the pass, giving up 187.2 passing yards per game. They were 2nd against the run, giving up only 91.1 rushing yards per game. They were 3rd in points allowed, giving up only 18.3 points per game. They led the league in sacks, as they finished with 60 sacks. That averaged out to 4 sacks per game, and they were 26 in takeaways, which they only ended up creating 14 takeaways, my bad. And also, they definitely showed their dominance over the Bills in the divisional round, as they forced Allen and that Bills offense with 4 fumbles and an interception, especially in overtime, as McMillan ended up getting the interception as he took the ball away from Brandon Cooks from an Allen pass. And there's plenty of talent on this Denver defense. Of course, you got the Pro Bowlers and defensive end Zach Allen, as well as the corner Patrick Surtain, who's definitely one of the best corners in the NFL. But also, you have the veteran Dre Greenlaw in that front. Well, on that front, as well as Jonathan Cooper, Alex Singleton, veteran nose tackle DJ Jones. So both teams here have some very stout, great physical defenses. They get after it. They're ball hawks. They love forcing turnovers. You nearly got to play a perfect game to beat either the Patriots or the Broncos. Now, we all know in the playoffs, especially in championship games, there's always an X factor. That guy that you're not dependent on having a great game or a good game, but they step up in the moment and deliver and help lead their team to a Super Bowl. Well, I'm about to tell you my X factors in this game for each team that could make a difference on whether they're taking a trip to Santa Clara or whether they're taking a trip to Cancun for the offseason. For the Patriots, it's the veteran tight end, Hunter Henry. Now, Henry, he's one of May's favorite targets during the regular season. He finished with 60 receptions on 87 targets. He also averaged 768 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns during the divisional round versus the Texans. He had 4 receptions on 7 targets, 69 yards, and a touchdown. And it seems like he's had a resurgence over here in New England since he signed with them. Now, also my X factor for the Broncos is wide receiver Troy Franklin. Now, he ended up leaving the game due to an injury against the Bills in the divisional round, didn't come back. But according to multiple reports, he did practice Wednesday, so it's very possible he could play. But if he does play, he can definitely be an X factor for Stidham. During the regular season, he finished with 65 receptions, 104 targets, 709 receiving yards, and 7 touchdowns. So Franklin, he's a pretty good wide receiver, and he could definitely have a big game on you at any moment. Oh, my apologies. Yeah, but Franklin, he is a pretty solid number 2 receiver. And he's he's definitely underrated. So if he could come back for this AFC Championship game, that would definitely help out Jarrett Stidham tremendously. Now, here are my keys to the game. If you're the Patriots, you got to get pressure on Stidham quickly as possible. Also, you got to take that crowd out of it in Denver, because we all know Broncos fans around playoff time are very loud. Also, you feel like they're right on top of you when you play in that stadium. So you got to take the crowd out of it quick. You got to force Stidham into some turnovers. Do not give him any confidence, because if you take him lightly, hey, he can turn around. He can end up turning into another Nick Foles. I'm sorry for bringing that up, Patriots fans, but hey, I gotta be real. We all know what happened with Nick Foles got his shot in the playoffs, led the Eagles to a Super Bowl title. But you don't want Stidham to have any confidence. Also, excuse me, definitely got to defend the run, because Harvey, not only he can make plays on the ground, but he also make plays in the air as well, because he does have some pretty good hands, especially in the games that I've done live streams for. He's had some great receiving games, like the Sunday night game against the Commanders back in November in DC. Also, you got to win the line of scrimmage. You cannot let that Broncos offensive line dominate you, because if they do, that gives Stidham some time to throw, survey the field, find open receivers. Also, that can open up the running game with Harvey. Plus, that definitely can create space for Sutton and Franklin. Now, on offense for the Patriots, Drake May has to continue to be Drake May. He's been playing at MVP level all season. He's done great. Well, he's done pretty good in the 2 playoff games against the Chargers and Texans. So he's got to continue that for one more game in order to lead the Patriots to the Super Bowl by getting a win here in Denver. Also, you definitely gonna need the running game in this one. So you're going to have to either have a dose of Stevenson and Henderson or a mix of both. Like I've just mentioned a few minutes ago, definitely need Hunter Henry here in this moment to step up as well, because he could definitely be an X factor. He knows the AFC West from all those years playing with the Chargers, so he definitely knows the Broncos pretty well. Also, the offensive line definitely has to dominate on the line of scrimmage, because that Broncos front is too doggone good with dudes like Allen, Greenlaw, Singleton, Jones, Because, man, those dudes can disrupt any game. They're aggressive, opportunistic. They can force turnovers. Same thing as the Patriots. Matter of fact, these defenses are mirror images of each other. They're both physical. They're very stout. They have great fronts. They have pretty good secondaries. They love to get after the ball as well as the quarterback. So whichever defense can impose their will on the offensive line and which offense can move the ball consistently and score will win this game and will punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. Now, here's my prediction. Now, I know a lot of people are looking at this game on paper thinking that it's a major mismatch because Bo Nix is not playing. But I have too much respect for the Broncos defense. They're definitely going to keep this a competitive game. They're going to force Maine to some turnovers. But the Patriots offense and their talent are going to be a little too much. So I got the Patriots winning this game 23-17 in Denver. And they'll go back to their first Super Bowl in 8 years. All right, now, if you would like to donate to the channel, you can donate via Cash App or PayPal. Here's the Cash App cash tag, $ Talking and Grub. Also, here's the PayPal email address. That's talkingandgrubbing@gmail.com. Any donations you give to the channel, I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone who has donated to the channel. Appreciate your support. Y'all have helped me keep this channel going. All right. Just going to take a quick timeout, and I'll be back with my breakdown of the NFC Championship game. So don't go away, good people. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, good people. All right. Now I'm about to do the NFC Championship game preview between the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams, they're coming off of a hard-fought road win in overtime against the Bears in Chicago in the divisional round last week. It was a battle. Not only they had to battle the Bears, they also had to battle the Chicago elements. It was windy, cold, snowy, but the Rams, they got it done. And Matt Stafford was one of the main reasons why. He's definitely top 2 for MVP along with Drake May during the regular season. He finished with 388 completions on 597 attempts. He had over 4,700 passing yards, 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions with a 71.1 QBR rating. Now, he didn't have a great game against the Bears. He finished with 20 completions on 42 attempts, 258 passing yards, zero touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Yeah, I had to check to make sure that's right. With a 67.4 QBR rating. And man, Stafford definitely has some weapons around him, such as the All-Pro Puka Nacua, one of the best wide receivers in the game. During the regular season, he had 129 receptions on 166 targets, over 1,700 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. In the divisional round against the Bears, he only had 5 receptions on 10 targets, along with 56 yards and 0 touchdowns. Also, he has the veteran wide receiver Devontae Adams, who definitely has found a new life in LA. During the regular season, he finished with 60 receptions on 114 targets, 789 yards, 14 touchdowns. In the divisional round against the Bears, he only had 2 receptions, 6 targets, 24 yards, 0 touchdowns. But Devontae Adams came up with a big catch in overtime that put the Rams in field goal range to ultimately win it. But you can't forget about Kyren Williams, who's definitely one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. He finished the regular season with 259 carries, over 1,200 rushing yards, as well as 10 rushing touchdowns. Also, he had 281 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And he had a monster game against the Bears. He had 21 carries, 87 rushing yards, as well as 3 rushing touchdowns. And also, they have a pretty good tight end that's up and coming in Kobe Parkinson. During the regular season, he finished with 43 receptions, 56 targets, 408 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. Excuse me. Now, during the divisional round against the Bears, he only had 3 receptions on 7 targets, 56 receiving yards, and 0 touchdowns. But also, the Rams do have some pretty good talent on that defense, led by the All-Pros, Jared Verse and Byron Young. Now, they definitely finished middle of the pack in a lot of defensive categories during the regular season. They were 17th in total defense, giving up 327.5 yards per game. Also, they were 19th in pass defense, giving up 216.7 passing yards per game. They were 12th in rush defense, giving up 110.8 rushing yards per game. But they were 12th 12th in point. I mean, excuse me. They were 10th in points allowed, giving up only 20.4 points per game. Also, they were 7th in sacks, which they finished with 47.0 sacks, which they averaged 2.7 sacks per game. They were 5th in takeaways with 24 takeaways. No, excuse me, that's 26. But in the divisional round versus the Bears, they forced 3 major interceptions on Caleb Williams. Now the Seahawks, they've had a great regular season. They finished 14-3. They won their first NFC West title since 2014. And Sam Darnold seems to have a renaissance in Seattle after the Vikings let him go in the offseason. He finished the regular season with 323 completions on 477 attempts, over 4,000 passing yards, but he finished with 25 touchdowns and 14 interceptions with a 56 QBR rating. And he's coming off of a pretty nice game versus the 49ers in the divisional round. He finished with 12 completions on 17 attempts, 124 passing yards, as well as a touchdown. And he had 0 interceptions and 110.9 QBR rating. But also, he has some nice pieces here in Seattle, such as All-Pro rookie Jackson Smith-Njigba. During the regular season, he had 119 receptions on 163 targets, over 1,700 yards, as well as 10 touchdowns. In the divisional round versus the 49ers, he had 3 receptions on 4 targets, 19 yards, and a touchdown. Now, Kenneth Walker, he's coming off of a monster game against the 49ers. During the regular season, he had 221 carries, over 1,000 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. But in the divisional round versus the 49ers, he had 19 carries for 116 rushing yards, as well as 3 rushing touchdowns. But this Seattle defense, they are very dominant. Matter of fact, they finished top 10 in every defensive category during the regular season. They were 6th in total defense, which they gave up 285.9 yards per game. They were 10th in pass defense, giving up only 193.9 passing yards per game. They were 3rd in rush defense, giving up 91.9 rushing yards per game. They led the league in points allowed, only allowing opponents to score 17.2 points per game. They were 8th in sacks, which they finished with 47.0 sacks, which they averaged 2.7 sacks per game. They were 6th in takeaways with 25 takeaways. This defense is anchored by the All-Pros in Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence, but also they have dudes like Drake Thomas, the veteran Ernest Jones, Byron Murphy, and they also have a pretty nice secondary in All-Pro corner Devin Witherspoon, as well as safeties Julian Love and Kobe Bryant. And this defense dominated the 49ers in the divisional round, as they forced an interception off of Purdy and 2 fumble recoveries. All right, let me get myself back on the screen. Now, here are my keys to the game for both teams. For the Rams, before I get to my keys to the game, both of these teams during the regular season, They split the season. They split the season series by each team winning both games at home. We definitely can't forget that great overtime win by the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football as they came back from being down by as many as 18 to win it by 1 in overtime. Also, the Rams, they won against the Seahawks in LA by 2 points. So both games have been close. Both games have been decided by 3 points or less. Now let me get to my keys. Now let me get to my keys to the game. For the Rams, they definitely got to come out early and score. You want to take the 12th man out of it because they are definitely loud. They're very rowdy in a good way. You know, similar to the Broncos crowd, you feel like they're on top of you. So you definitely want to shut them down early by scoring. Stafford has to continue to play at that MVP level that he's been playing all season long. And so far in the playoffs, Nakua, he's definitely got to still be Nakua. Adams, he's definitely going to be an X factor, a main factor here because due to his veteran presence and leadership, if they can get him going, then this Rams offense is even more dangerous. Also, they definitely got to find ways to get Parkinson touches because if you get Parkinson going, he is definitely hard to contain. He's definitely a star. He's definitely a star in the making at tight end, in my opinion. Now on the defense, you got to get pressure on Sam Darnold as soon as the ball snaps because you could definitely force Darnold into some turnovers. As we all see, he finished with 14 interceptions during the regular season. Darnold does not do well when he has pressure. He cannot throw under pressure. He struggles when he faces pressure of a front seven. So you definitely got to pressure him early and often. Also, you got to contain Walker. That man is a beast. And he's definitely underrated as a running back, in my opinion. Secondary, they definitely cannot have Smith-Njigba beat them because if he has a great game, then that's going to make the secondary's life miserable. So you got to dare someone else to beat you besides any of them. Also, you got to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. You cannot have the Seahawks offensive line dominate you if you're the Rams front. You got to dominate them because that's a pretty good offensive line. If they dominate you, then that gives Darnold time to throw. Also, that creates lanes for Walker. And it definitely could create openings for Njigba as well as the receivers and tight ends down the field. So you definitely gotta win the battle against their offensive line. Now on the flip side for the Seahawks, you gotta use the 12th man. 12th man definitely has to become like a bench player at home to help you definitely win this game. Darnold, he's got to play mistake-free football. He cannot throw any interceptions because if he throws any picks in this game, more than likely, the Rams will make him pay. Look what happened to Caleb Williams when he threw those picks in the divisional round. For the most part, they turned into the points, and the last one he threw ended up leading to a game-winning field goal and ended the Bears season. To all my Bears fans, I'm sorry I had to bring that up. I just got to keep it 100. I know y'all still mad and hurting right now. But yep, Darnold has to play mistake-free football just like he did against the 49ers in the divisional round. Also, Kenneth Walker, definitely has to continue the game. Well, he may not have the same game he had against the 49ers, but he definitely still has to have a very good game. This Rams front is definitely a big front. They're also physical. So he definitely has to find a way to punish the Rams front. Also, Smith-Njigba, he's definitely got to win his matchup against this secondary, such as the corners, excuse me, such as corners like Darius Williams, who's definitely going to be all over him be guarding him most of the game. So he's got to win his matchup against him. Also, the offensive line has to definitely win the line of scrimmage against this Rams front. Because if you do that, you give Darnold time, gives Williams openings to run and go and run for some big yards, by the way. Also, it gives Darnold more time to survey the field to see who can he throw to. Can he go deep? Can he throw a check down? Or do you stick with the run? Because if the offensive line of the Seahawks struggles against this Rams front, that's an advantage for the Rams. They're going to be pressuring them. They're going to create turnovers. Also, Darnold, more than likely, he's going to get sacked. So you definitely want to protect him so he doesn't get sacked. And also, it doesn't lead to any injuries or cause any turnovers. Now, here are my X factors for the game on each team. For the Rams, I'm going with running back Blake Corum. Now, Blake Corum, he's been the second back next to Williams during the regular season. He finished with 145 carries, 746 rushing yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns. The divisional round in Chicago last week against the Bears, he only had 6 carries for 19 rushing yards. He can definitely be a factor here in this game, because they're definitely going to be focusing on Kyren Williams. So that can definitely lead to more opportunities here for Corum to definitely have a nice game. If they can establish him early on, and also as the game goes along, and if he could get a touchdown, that could definitely pay dividends for the Rams winning this game and advancing to the Super Bowl. Now, for the Seahawks, I decided to go with a very familiar face, and that's ex-Ram Cooper Kupp. Now, we all know Cooper Kupp was a beast for the Rams for years. Also, he won a Super Bowl with the Rams in 2021. He was Super Bowl MVP. He also won the Triple Crown that year. Now, ever since he's been in Seattle, he didn't have too much of a good year. He only had 47 receptions on 76 targets, 593 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. But he's coming off of his best game as a Seahawk against the 49ers in the divisional round last week. He had 5 receptions on 5 targets for 60 yards and 0 touchdowns. So I'm definitely sure that Cooper Kupp wants to get revenge against his old team. And what better way to do it right here in the NFC Championship game? So that way he can get back to the Super Bowl and try to win another one. I was just thinking about that recently. If Cooper Kupp does if the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, Cooper Kupp would have won the Super Bowl with 2 teams in the same division. I wonder, has that ever happened? I'm going to have to check. I'm going to have to find out about that. Oops. My bad. All right, it's time for my prediction. Like I mentioned earlier, both these teams faced off in the regular season. Both games were close, decided by 3 points or less. The Rams, they won in LA by 2. The Seahawks came from behind and won in overtime by 1. And I don't expect anything different. These two teams definitely have high-power offenses. Both have great defenses. They have great young coaches. It's going to be a chess match between Sean McVay and Seahawks coach Mike McDonald. Definitely can't wait to see the chess match these two have against each other on the sidelines in this NFC Championship game. You have one coach trying to get back to his his second Super Bowl and win it. While you have this young up-and-coming coach trying to get to his first Super Bowl and win it. Both teams are definitely talented on defense. They're opportunistic. They get after the quarterback. They're physical. They definitely, for the most part, get after the ball. But this is leading up to be a classic, especially when two teams from the same division meet at this point. They know each other. They played each other twice in the regular season. So, excuse me. There's nothing that they can do to surprise each other. But I'm expecting this to be another classic. It may come down to the wire. It may come down to overtime. Or it may come down to who has the ball last. But it's going to be a very close one. But I got the Rams edging the Seahawks 31-28. So for the Super Bowl, I have the Rams and Patriots meeting each other once again. Well, all right, good people. Well, definitely want to know your thoughts on who you got in these championship games this weekend. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Also, I will be releasing separate videos of both breakdowns on YouTube, so you can check that out. That should be posted up either later on tonight or tomorrow. All right, good people, I got to get out of here. Thank y'all for joining me once again on this Wednesday night. Whether you tuned in on YouTube, Twitch, or Rumble, just appreciate y'all hanging out with me for a little while. Can't wait to do the live streams for Championship Sunday afternoon. I'll be on starting at 2 for the AFC Championship game. Then I'll be on live for the NFC Championship at 6 o'clock. So until then, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. Salute. Y'all be safe. Enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy your day. I'm out. See y'all Sunday.